Hey guys, so in my out of the box video on this Chesty, I got a comment from someone saying they would like to see it on me, see how it moves, see how it fits, all that stuff. So I decided, like, going forward, I'm gonna kind of do that with Chesties. I'm gonna do some kind of like a movement test, show you how it fits, how it moves. So I've come out with a patented Molina chest protector test, and it goes a little something like this.
Universal people looking for the perfect all the world nations looking for the perfect me. Mighty Zulu nation, they have found the perfect me.
Alright guys, well that was a highly scientific testing process, really testing out the mobility of this unit, and as you can see, it's a pretty mobile unit, pretty mobile. So, okay, this is my review for this. This might be the most disappointed I am with a Vaughn product that I've ever had. It's not that overall it's such a bad unit. It's more of a specific issue with it that just is a bad look for Vaughn, and it's just something I've never experienced from them. I'm gonna save that for the end, so be sure to watch the end of this video because it's gonna be like the last thing I talk about it. Just because I don't know, I just feel like I want to save it for the end. But I want to go over like everything else, which is pretty good on this unit. And then I'm also going to kind of talk about how it relates to the Chesty I've been using before I got this, the Bauer Hyperlight. And I'm going to reveal which one I'm going to stick with. So, once again, here's the unit. I did, as I said in the out of the box video, I did own previously an SLR1 chest protector. Did not own the SLR2. I've been using a couple Bauers in between, and now I got the SLR3. I've been wanting to try it out because I'm a Vaughn guy, and I did like the SLR1, so I wanted to see what the SLR3 is about. So, you know, positives. It's definitely mobile. It's not going to stop you, or it's not going to inhibit your movement at all. Protection is really good. Like, this is probably, I mean, it's better protection. It's just strictly talking about like protection. It's better than my Hyperlight. Not that I really have a problem with the Hyperlight, but it is better. It has more protection. Beefed up protection even from the SLR1, which again, I didn't even think that was a problem personally with the SLR1. But it is something, probably the most common complaint with Vaughn Chesties is people say they don't have enough protection, and people will like go out of their way to order the beefed up Pro version of it. I really don't think you need that with this. This stock is really adequate. I'm not adequate is not a good word. It's really more than you would need as a beer leaguer, I would say. You know, the arms are definitely beefed up from the SLR1 that I had. They've added extra padding behind the shoulder floater. The sternum is thicker and feels a little harder than I remember the SLR1 being. It has a reinforced back area, spine protection. So, yeah, protection-wise, it's really good. I don't see why you would have any issue with that, any complaints with that. Like I said, mobility is good. You're going to be able to do whatever you want mobility-wise. I will say, though, I feel like it's not quite as comfortable. You know, so with mobility, there's like what you're literally able to do. And then it's like, well, and what can you do it comfortably? So literally you're able to do whatever you want in this. Like, there's not like, oh, I can't lift my arm up and touch my head, or some certain movement I just can't do. No, I can do everything. And it's not, you know, I don't feel like I'm really fighting it, but I just feel the chest protector more on me than I do with, say, my Hyperlight, or even the SLR1. I didn't even feel like it was this noticeable on me. Something I can maybe compare to is like, let's say you're wearing a t-shirt or you're wearing a light jacket. Now, you're still going to be able to move in a light jacket, right? But if I asked you, well, which one's more comfortable? The t-shirt's more comfortable. So that's kind of like what I'm talking about here between like this and my Hyperlite or this and the SLR1. It's just that it just doesn't seem quite as comfortable when you're moving in it, but it is still very mobile. So to me, with this new SLR3, you know, it was a give and take. They gave you more protection and comfort. I wouldn't even say mobility is less. I would say the comfort is slightly less. You feel it more. It feels more boxy on you. And that it is more of a squared off box style unit. The SLR1 was like that too, but just the way they had the padding on it, it didn't quite feel as much as this does, like boxy and noticeable. However, bringing that back around to a positive, if you are somebody that's looking for maximum coverage, this thing is going to give them to you. Or it's going to give it to you. It's really going to square off those shoulders. It's going to make you look wider. I mean, just as far as taking up room in the net, this takes up more room and makes me look a little wider than my Hyperlite does. So if you're just strictly looking for like protection, or you're strictly looking for making yourself look bigger, this is a good unit for you. You probably like it. For me, it's not really that important to me. Just being a beer leaguer, is playing for fun. My main thing is comfortability, if that's a word. I want to feel as fluid in my movements as possible, feel as unencumbered as possible, and as comfortable as possible with my gear. So for me, this is kind of a downgrade from the past SLR and from my Hyperlite for me, just because I would, instead of the beefed up padding and the more coverage, I prefer how my Hyperlite just feels like nothing. It really, it feels like you're barely wearing anything, but yet you still have decent protection, and it's so comfortable to move in. And like one of the reasons, besides just like in general, I'm saying is beefed up padding, but like one of the things I kind of figured out why also this feels, or like it takes up more room in the shoulders and it feels a little less comfortable, is this piece of padding that's right along here. It's removable, it's Velcro, you can see the Velcro here. So in my SLR1 unit, this was much smaller, meaning it only went up like around here. It didn't go all the way up and curve around the top of the shoulder like this does. And to me, that's making it like stick up above, making the shoulder stick up more and kind of taking up more room. So like I said, it's Velcro attached, so you could take it out and it does make it a little more comfortable. However, then you're giving up this extra protection here, which I did like in the SLR1. I liked how this had this, you can see like without this, right, it takes away that little extra bit, and it opens you up a little more on the side there to a shot. I mean, you could probably get away with not using this and it probably wouldn't be a big issue or anything, but I did like this piece in the SLR1, but I just like that how it was smaller. It didn't go all the way up for the shoulders. I don't really need it up in the shoulders. I like it just down here. And like part of the reason why they even give you this at all is because I didn't take any specific measurements, but this shoulder floater does look pretty thin here, so I believe this is like an NHL legal size shoulder floater. So this is kind of like a little cheater. So because without that, obviously you have less coverage, and then with this you get a little more coverage and more protection on the side. So this different elongated version of this pad here that they put on this is part of the reason for me that makes it feel not quite as comfortable, just because I don't like all that bunching up in the shoulder, and I don't need it to feel like bigger in my shoulders like that. And then also, like I said, in general, there's just kind of like a beefed up feel to this. But yeah, it still felt all right. Like if I didn't have my Hyperlite, I could use this if I had to. It's just that to me, the Hyperlite is better for me. So, in the end, I'm going to end up keeping the Hyperlite. I'm going to sell this, but I don't want it to seem like it's not good as far as like how it performs or protection, whatever. It's just a matter of personal preference. Like I said, if you're more on the side of protection and taking up room in the net, this is going to be more for you. If you're really just all about being comfortable and movement, then there's probably other chest protectors out there that might be better suited for you, but you could still use this. Like I said, I could still use this. I don't think it's bad. It's just not the optimal one for me, I feel. I don't wear suspenders, so I didn't take advantage of this little suspender holder thing at all. Can't really talk about that. Just a little bit more about the protection. Like, yeah, I didn't feel any shots, and didn't hurt, nothing hurt, whatever. If anything, it was a little weird. Like, I almost didn't feel anything like with the shots, and like sometimes you kind of rely on that feel to know where the rebound's going or where the puck is. And that's something probably if you really just start using this longer, you probably get a little more used to it. But to me, I had like no feel for the puck in this because it just really shields you from the puck that much. So now I'm gonna get to like the thing I was really disappointed in, and another reason why this. Like it was something I thought this was going to have an advantage over my Bauer, and it ends up that it's not. So obviously with Bauer, there's always people talking about the durability of it, the quality of it, and they've had their issues in the past. And in my review on my Hyperlight, if you remember, I told you about there was a high strap behind the arm that came off on one of the arms, but it ended up not really doing much at all. So I just cut off the other one to make it even, and it's fine. I use it. It's no problem. That little strap really did nothing. But it was a bad look that strap broke like pretty early on. Like I think I used it like twice, I believe I said, and then it broke off. So with this, I talked about briefly the buttons on the arm. So this is how you like adjust the arm length in my out of the box video. And as I did it, and I had, again, it was out of the box, so I hadn't worn it. I started taking the buttons off, and one of them actually popped off middle of the video. Now, at the time, I wasn't quite sure what had happened, and I was in the middle of filming the video. I didn't really want to stop, so I didn't really say anything. I figured it was just an overview of what the chest protector was anyway. It wasn't a review video, so I just moved on and I didn't say too much about it. But if you notice, there's a point in the video where I do that and I look at it and I'm kind of look weird. And an eagle-eyed viewer in the comments asked me specifically like, "Oh, did a button come off? Because that's what it looks like." And bingo, you got it. Button came off. So, like I said, I hadn't even used the thing yet. One of these buttons came off. Then, I have a rivet gun. I just fixed it myself, put a little rivet in there, reattached the button. Wasn't a huge deal to reattach, it's not like a big fix, but just the fact that happened sucked. And then after the first time I used it, 2 more buttons fell off. So got the rivet gun back out, reattached those. So in total, there's 6 buttons, 3 on each arm. In total, 3, so half of them, 50% of the buttons have come off so far. Like I said, one of which I hadn't even used it. The other 2 came off after like the second use. So that sucks. Like I said, I've been reattaching it, so it's not like a huge deal, but that's just, you don't want to see that quality from a brand new thing. And I've never had that issue with Vaughn before with quality of stuff. But being that as it is, I thought I was going to be able to say this had better quality than Bauer, but it seems to be about on par. I mean, if not, maybe a little worse, really, if you think about it. Because like I said, the Bauer thing broke after first couple skates. This thing already started breaking off before I even used it. So that really sucked. I did kind of reach out to someone at Vaughn, and they said I could send it back and they could fix it. But like I said, I've already been fixing the buttons myself, so it's not really that hard to reattach a button with a rivet. So I didn't feel it necessary. I didn't want to have to send it to Vaughn, and then they're taking a long time to do things right now, as every company is. So who even knows how long it would take them to get to it and then send it back to me? I don't have to go through all that. Like I said, I'm just fixing the buttons myself. So I didn't end up taking them up on the offer, but that is a positive that they did offer to fix the buttons or whatever. But it's something that shouldn't happen in the first place. So I have to kind of downgrade it for that reason. Also, and I mentioned this in the out of the box video as well, I don't really care for this system anyway of buttons. Like even if the buttons didn't come off and worked fine, I don't think it's a great system to adjust the arm. Just because you're really only stuck with 2 settings, right? It's either unbuttoned or buttoned. What if I want it kind of halfway? Well, there's no way for me to do that. Whereas if it was done with Velcro or something, I can make these little incremental adjustments instead of just having two set points and that's it. And so that being said, like, and in my SLR1 did not have adjustable arms. So in general, I don't really need adjustable arms. Usually a large, like if I get a large chest protector, the large arms are fine for me. It's just kind of like you can dial it in, you know, a little bit. So I do prefer it buttoned and shortening it a little bit. Just that way it brings the cuff a little bit away from my glove and blocker and gives me a little more room in there. Whereas when it's unbuttoned, it kind of sits right at where the beginning of the glove and blocker are, which isn't a huge deal. It's just more, like I said, I'm all about comfort. And to me, it's a little more comfortable with it buttoned. But I just don't have a lot of confidence in these buttons at this point. You know, between them breaking and just the fact that they're buttons, that I don't know. I just don't think personally it's a good system. And then the fact that they've been breaking off really sucks. So to me, that's a downgrade for me. That's a mark off for this unit. So, you know, there's pros and cons. There's good and bad. You know, would I suggest this to people? Like I said before, if you tell me your main concern is just protection and or taking up room in the net, I probably would recommend this. I'd say, yeah, it's probably a pretty decent option. Even with the whole button issue, you know, who knows? I'm sure not every unit has the same issue. Even with Bauer, not every unit has issues. It's just whatever. I got a bad one or whatever. I don't know what happened. The guy was having a bad day who was putting the buttons in on this one. I don't know. So it's not that you're necessarily going to have that issue every time you get one of these. So it's probably a good chance you're not going to have any issue with buttons or things falling off. So aside from that, yeah, if you're looking for like really good protection and just taking up more room, looking bigger in the net, yeah, I'd say I could recommend this to you. You probably like it. It's a good chest protector. But I just think for me personally, I like the Hyperlight better. I actually like the SLR1 better than this a little bit. But it all just for me comes down to the comfort and mobility just being slightly better with those units. So overall, this is solid. Just not the optimal for me, and depending on what you like, possibly the optimal for you, or possibly maybe a bit better off going a different direction. But yeah, so that's basically it for this review video. I'm trying to think if there's anything I didn't talk about. You know, I talked about how it felt, how the protection, talked about the issue I had. Yeah, so it's about all I can think of. If you guys have any more questions, just leave a comment and I'm always happy to answer. I try to answer every one I see. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.